morning, good morning, good morning. Somebody responding from the street already?
Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning from Houston, Texas. Ava, good morning to you up there. It's 10 o'clock your time, 9 o'clock my time.
Yes,
It's
it
a bright
is.
and sunny day. It looked like it's going to be a little bit of, we've got some clouds this morning trying to challenge the sun, but I'll leave them to solve their who shines today or who overcast today. I would just be on the earth to enjoy whoever wins the battle. That's how are you doing? How's the family doing up there?
I'm trying to look outside. Two Saturdays in a row now. We haven't had sun during this show, so
Wow.
I'm
Okay.
wondering if you guys are jinxing us or not. But
If the sun wins the battle today, I will send you some by either SendWave or by WhatsApp. Okay.
either way, we appreciate it. Either way, we take it.
I know.
Yeah.
So what do we have? What do we have on the agenda today? What do we have on the menu today for everyone? What do we have on
Well,
the menu
we want
today?
to say good morning to the listening audience. Welcome to another edition of Business Talk. We hope it will be exciting. We hope it will be embraced. And we hope we'll be able to get input from all of you out there to participate in this conversation about job creation. And we'll try to focus on, youth job creation, but job creation as a whole. And then I believe we'll touch a little bit on the potential jobs lost. Not that we got the jobs and we're losing it, but the jobs that will be created with stuff like value addition or just exploring other sectors that we don't have the opportunity to do because we haven't had that national inclination to do that kind of stuff. So today should be a very good discussion on job creation and how we can really move this country forward that we all love so much. We keep putting time into, and we would love to see the benefits of our efforts. So
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, and I really hope that today will be a very exciting show. I'm hoping that people truly interact. Call in when the phone lines are open. Please feel free to call in. We're relaying through Love FM in Syncor, Monrovia. We're broadcasting all across Upper Lower Margibi County. We're broadcasting all across Montserrado County, Duazon, into Margibi as well, some parts of Cape Mount. So those of you who are listening today, please make sure you share the show from our Facebook page. We put it up on the link. Listen to the show, participate in the show, because as Ava said, the topic today is very critical. It's very crucial. It's a vital topic today, and it is a prevailing topic of our time as Liberians. This is something that from my point of view, I would just say, I'll use the cliche. It is a clear and present danger. Because when you have a large number of young people who are out there looking for jobs, looking for unemployment, and cannot find it, but they're being placed on a one-way street, that's a challenge. It is a challenge. And the young people are our nation's future. I mean, that's Liberia's future right there. That's the greatest natural resource of the country. It's not the iron ore, it's not the timber, it's not the diamonds, it's not the manganese, nothing. It is our young people, because within them is the potential to make this country a great nation and for us to become a great people in the Minor River Union, in ECOWAS. So it's so critical that the topic today is so critical. So I really hope that people will truly interact. So let's give them a couple of minutes for them to connect on Facebook. Please share the show. And please come online. Let's interact. If you're a young person, listen to the show. This show is specifically for young people today. Go ahead, Ava.
Yes, it is about the young. It is about the young people, and different leaders have referenced them with different names, right? Precious jewels, um, the future of the country, different labels, but I don't know that we have lived up to those labels for the young people. And especially over the last, I want to say probably since like 89. So that's what, 30, 36 years nearly. The youths have been deprived of achieving their full potential. The need for economic expansion is not questionable, you know. And then given the situation in the world today with the trade wars and other things are happening, are we prepared for, protecting our youth, protecting their future, protecting them to be able to get to the maximum, abilities, explore their talent all the way through? And it just doesn't seem that way. But we can only be, like some people say, hopeful. We got to keep hope alive on those things, but we got to keep talking about them and keep driving towards, how these things can happen. So if we just, try to focus on the agriculture sector and, see where we are in terms of how we are creating opportunities. We know that our agricultural sector is primarily, kind of subsistence farming because of all the things we have mentioned before. Being able to fully exploit the land is limited because of the equipment that people have, because the inputs in terms of, fertilizer or in terms of pesticides are limited. The knowledge of the soil, because there are a lot of technology and a lot of understanding of the soil, the climate, the products itself, the strain that you're going to plant, all of those things factor in. And unfortunately, most of our people are not occurring or aware of all these different nuances when it comes to agriculture. Yeah, they can plant their food, and yeah, sometimes the soil will be fertile, unfertile. But a lot of times they don't know from the scientific aspect, right? There's no soil testing extensively across the country for people to know what the different content in the soil is, whether there's too much zinc, too much iron, too much potassium, or is now, water saturated enough for certain kind of crops. So understanding all those things will give us an advantage to create programs for the young people to be involved in agriculture, because that's the starter, right? Because with agriculture, yes, you need some skills, you need some knowledge, but it's not like some of the other technical jobs, like, if we're talking about value addition in the mineral sector, where we need real technical professionals. And those are things that we have to be prepared for. So that's some of the reasons why sometimes we wonder, what is the Ministry of Labor doing? What data are they using to analyze the future of jobs? What kind of work are they doing to create awareness around, what's coming? What 20 years down the road people should be preparing for now, studying now. Take, for example, today, I think we said on the last show, the Chinese, they know AI is the future. So every child from 6 years old in China is doing artificial intelligence, learning about it, whether just starting to learn how to code, starting to learn to understand all the different ways AI can impact our lives and all of those things. So it's an important discussion that we need to have, and we need to understand from the youth themselves, right? What are their feelings? How are they looking at this whole job creation thing? What are their thoughts? They may have some creative ideas as to how jobs can be created and how they can be a part of this global development, because right now we can't operate in a silo. The world is a much smaller place now with all the different connections.
And the point you bring up, the points you've just outlined, right? So I would say let's take it from the top, right? Let's take it from the top. In order for any nation or the leadership of any nation, any country to address these things, there's got to be a plan, and there's got to be a strategy to drive that plan, to bring it to different levels and to achieve the objectives of the plan. So I think, like you said, you mentioned that question, right? What is the Ministry of Labor doing? What are they doing? Okay, good. Thank you, Rufus Divine Connor, for joining us, and thank you, Lawrence, for joining us as well. So I think that should be where we start from, right? Either from the top, or you say starting from the bottom. What is the plan? Is there a plan, first and foremost? Is there a plan? Is there a plan in the Republic of Liberia, in leadership, in the current leadership, in past leaderships? Was there a plan in past leadership? Is there a plan in the current leadership? Is there going to be a plan in future leadership? Because without a plan, all we're doing is we're taking good money and just spending it and throwing it in the wind and hoping that something will be produced, something good will happen. And these things cannot just happen. You don't, there's got, so that I think that's where we need to ask ourselves this morning. And thank you for Jusu and Timothy joining from Timothy's in India, Jusu's in Kakata, Upper Margidi. The question is there a plan? Is there a plan, Ava, from your experience? I mean, from your experience, we can only ask that question when we look and you look across Liberia, right? From the southeast to the west, you look to the northern part of Liberia, you see across every political subdivision, every county. Is there a plan from the leadership of this nation, of this republic, to address this clear and present danger? Is there a plan? I think that's the first question we should put on the table today. Is there, or has there been? Over to you. We can introduce Lawrence here today since he's joining.
Yes, I think he's our star panelist today. Folks, we have with us Mr. Lawrence Huff, and he will say a little bit about himself, but we just want to say that we are excited to have you on the team. He is going to be our field correspondent, and sometimes he'll come to the studio to kind of give context around some of the stuff that he will bring in into the show. So we really appreciate you joining us, Lawrence. If you want to say a few words about yourself, and so the audience can start to know you, and when you start bringing rich content to the table or to the show, they will appreciate you. Oh, he dropped off. I don't know what's going on, whether it's a sound. Lawrence, are you there? Can you hear me? You seem to be on mute. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Thank you to the team. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure being on Business Talk. I'm so glad to be on Business Talk, being recruited as a feed correspondent for Business Talk. So my name is Lawrence T. Huff, and I hail from Bummy / Cape Mount, and I am a practicing journalist since 2008. And I'm also a student at the university, and I am the founder and CEO of Pro Media TV. And I mean, being a part of this family is great. Like, it is business, talking business, because for me, as someone who really don't love too much of politics, most of the time I love human interest work. So being a part of Business Talk is something very, very great for me, because I mean, this is something that will actually drive me to do more, because looking at our economy, we have to do more about it. Looking at the young people, most especially as per today's topic, meaning focusing on the young people. I mean, it's a great thing, and I would just like to say thank you so much for being a part of the team, and I will do everything possible to deliver my part of the bargaining.
Wonderful. We are excited to have you.
Lawrence. Thank you, Lawrence. We're excited. Yes, indeed. Go ahead, Alba.
Yes, he deserves a hand clap, folks. Up there, just give them a hand clap for joining us and trying to contribute to this. So Lauren, our topic today is job creation. We'll focus on the youth in terms of how job creation is customized to them. So Akina was asking if there's a plan. I don't know if there's a national plan for youth empowerment, youth employment, or anything like that, right? But in different phases, we see it. For example, I was just reading the other day, they were bringing back the whole vacation job stuff, where they would get young people in different ministries and stuff. And those kind of programs, they are learning programs. They can get people to get acclimatized to the work environment, be able to see some people and probably pick up some hopefully positive habits, right? But sometimes we know how the work culture can be. So it's just important that they do that, but it's in gaps. So on the agriculture side, and I will read from the National Agricultural Development Plan, NADP, in the mandate, it's clear they say develop Liberia's agri-food system, including crops, livestock, and fisheries, for improved production, inclusive agribusiness, and market access, youth employment, and women's empowerment. So when I Google the word, or when I search for the word youth in that plan, the word youth or youthful comes out 245 times. Wow. Right? So there's a significant emphasis on youth. But has it materialized? Has there been a clear discussion on, look, this is the youth program for agriculture. We push 2,000 students through our universities and technical schools. When they graduate, we give them a parcel of land, or based on what aspect in any subsector of the agriculture or main sector, we organize something for them specific, right? If you just do, let's say you do livestock as a major, you're trying to be a vet or something, or you want to be an entrepreneur. Okay, we start you with maybe $1,000 for a pig farm. So there got to be something that can get these young people on their way. Or it's about, okay, so our focus is really agriculture, right? Today, let's say with baseline where we are today, we are providing XYZ. Let's say in rice, nationally we are producing 10 tons, let's say 10,000 tons of rice. I'm just giving an example. Yeah, exactly. But we're trying to get to 25,000 tons of rice. Okay. So how do we do that? How do we incorporate the youth? Those kind of discussions are what should be held in the palm sector, in the cocoa sector, in the coffee sector, in the moringa, in the corn, in the soybean, in cassava, in vegetables, and even our fruits, where we got serious opportunities, whether it's pineapples, whether it's what they can call butter pear on this side, guacamole or something.
Yeah, avocados. The number one product, the number one value addition for avocados on the U.S. side is guacamole. Guacamole, yeah.
So look, pawpaw, right? We got a lot of opportunity, but it has to be targeted. We got to say we'll create this amount of jobs. We'll produce this amount of products in a particular sector. We'll reach out. We'll search for value adders. Small manufacturing companies that can add value, that can package to partner with our people. It got to be a push effort. It cannot be somewhere where government just sit and think things will just happen or just come. And we got to make the climate, the business climate, conducive for people in the agriculture sector. We can say today, if you bring in solar panels for agriculture, it's duty free. But then certain people bring solar panels or bring, yellow machines and stuff, they got to pay duty on it. So there got to be some level of consistency in the sector where the policies are clear, where the intention is very clear. There's no deviation. There's no pick and choose thing. So a lot of the thing you talk about, planning is very critical. And just having a plan is not enough. You got to translate that plan into program. So like the National Agriculture,
No, go ahead. I'm agreeing with
Yes.
you. Go ahead. I'm agreeing
The
with you.
National Agriculture Plan right now, we need to translate all these references for youth into a clear program. You know, we can just say youth employment, women empowerment, youth employment, women empowerment, and at the end of the day, we don't see it happening. So, I mean, we got people there on the ground. Maybe we're just not aware of the youth employment program or the women empowerment program in the agriculture sector. And not to pick on agriculture, but the success or the potential for success in the agricultural sector is huge.
It's huge. It's huge.
So we got to leverage that opportunity while we have it, you know.
Let's go to Rufus Devon Canada. He's another media man. You know, he's on the ground along with Lawrence. Rufus, what do you? I mean, on the issue of a strategic plan, a strategic national plan from national leadership, be it from the administrative branch of government, be it from the legislative branch of government. Do you see? Do you hear? Do you feel that there is some sort of a national plan, legislative plan, or administrative branch of government plan to address this youth employment or declare present danger of youth unemployment in the country across all the political subdivisions for the short term, medium term, or long term? Then after you, Rufus, we'll bounce the same question over to Lawrence because you guys are on the ground. So what do you feel? What do you see? I mean, is there a plan, or is there a plan in the making, or what?
Well, from what we've observed since the takeover of the Unity Party-led government headed by President Joseph Newman Boakai and his able lieutenant Jeremiah Fancoon, they came up with this tech vocational training program for young people to empower the young people. But it started on a farm footing, but we realized there are some major challenges. Just the other time, you had schools of young people gathered before the education ministry, where we have the ministerial complex, the Ellen Johnson ministerial complex, agitating, calling on the relevant authority as it relates to their own incentives that due them in terms of sponsorship. They started on a farm footing on a very serious note, but there are lots more that needs to be done in terms of the legislators bringing into play a policy, because all of the laws begin from our own Capitol Hill and then pass on to other institutions or so for implementation. But it will interest you to know that we have not heard any legislator, has tend to be corrected, any legislator advocating for the young people or getting a national plan put in place that will cover the young people, because you understand that 70% of our population are young people.
That's exactly
And
right.
these young people, when it comes to unemployment, it will interest you to know that we are faced with serious difficulties when it comes to young people being employed. And for those that have young people that have stable jobs, this country at present, 3.5% of the young people have stable job. The rest are vulnerable. That's why you see a lot of our young brothers and sisters, they are now turned into what we call Zogos around here. And I always say to people, when the minds are developed, the eyes gonna appreciate the works of the hands. The young people are now being engaged. The young people, unlike Ghana, you go to Ghana, you see young people all busy in the morning. They got the tech schools that they go into. Even in Liberia here, all of the tech schools, most especially you have the MVTC, the LIC. These schools are now being sponsored adequately. You have somebody graduating from LYC without a starter kit.
Yeah.
You have somebody graduating from the MVDC without a starter kit. Even have the teachers go to classes regularly is difficult. How can we curb this whole thing of unemployment for the young people? Because mind you, when the young people are afforded the opportunity to acquire knowledge, they become their own bosses.
Yeah.
The
They
young
become
people,
independent. They become independent. Very independent. Yeah. Yeah.
getting them to be independent, they must firstly have the opportunity to acquire the adequate knowledge. And
Yeah.
government, where you can create an enabling environment for the young people, NBTC, the LOIC, and other tertiary education institutions,
BWI, yeah.
BWR, get them involved. These people, you have, especially amongst our brothers, our less fortunate brothers, you have a lot of great ones amongst them. But are we prioritizing the young people? I will tell you for free, it's not as it should be.
Yeah.
We only get the young people involved when it is time for politics. Now, go to Nima right now. Bulk of the people you see in the streets that are doing the campaign and chanting out of the slogans are the young people. After these elections, what is in store for the young people? That's why you see a lot of our young brothers, they try to empower themselves with motorcycles and the tricycles and all those things around here. But are these things really going to sustain them for national benefit? No. It's just like a hand to mouth. But if these guys acquire the knowledge that they can go anywhere to showcase what they have learned, trust me, Liberia will be transformed. But other than that, nationally, maybe they may have some notes on the books, but it's not being implemented to the fullest.
Okay. Lawrence, you're the newest member of the team. You will be on this platform every Saturday, 2:00 Liberia time. What do you see? What do you hear? Is there a national plan? Is there a national strategy from the administrative branch of government, from the legislative branch of government? Is there a plan to address what I call, again, this clear and present danger of the large number of unemployed youth across every political subdivision of this country? Is there one? Do you know of one? Do you hear about it? Do you feel it? Do you see it? I mean, you're also a member of this population. You're a member of this population group we're talking about. Because before you jump in, Ava, what is the range? We're talking about 18 or 15 to what, 35 years of age?
18 to 35.
18 to 35. 18 to 35 years of age. 18 to 35 years of age. Do you know of a plan? Do you hear a plan? What do you see? Okay. Yeah, go over to you, Lawrence. You jump in.
I mean, Rufus, I've said it all, right? So me coming back saying the same old thing that he said, I mean, it's just going to be like, I don't know. Because when this government took over, like he regularly said, we heard about the, I think 10,000, if I'm mistaken, right? 10,000 youth to be trained in the digital arena. But then these people were trained according to their statistics. They were trained, and some of whom are now outside. But like Rufus Reckless said again, training is not just it, right? What are these materials? What are these equipments, the tools that they will be able to work with after they have been trained? So, I mean, the government got a lot to do.
Is it frozen?
No, he's on mute for some reason. Rufus went off. Yeah, Lawrence, you're on mute. You're on mute. You're on mute. Tell Rufus that you're on mute. Yeah.
Okay, so
there you go.
Okay, so except we again have our ears open
Mm-hmm.
and have our eyes open. But yes, I may want to say yes because just the other day, no, Thursday at the Ministry of Information, the Youth and Sports Minister was also there. Uh, they talk about some initiative that the government will be working on in place. I mean, to be able to take the youth, most especially the disadvantaged youth, from the
Mm-hmm.
street and have some vocational training for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that will come to fruition, and I
Mm-hmm.
hope it will be successful for our youth because taking the disadvantaged youth off the street is something that is very important. But again, when they are off the street, like
Mm-hmm.
Rufus rightly said, yeah, what are those tools we'll be giving them? Because the minister talk about carpentry, talk about masonry. He spell out other things that they will be learning,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and that's a good initiative if it comes to fruition. But then, what will be the aftermath when they are trained? And so we hope and pray that when all of these are done through the Ministry of Youth and Sports,
Mm-hmm.
they should not just leave our brothers and sisters like that. Because look, if you take the man to the carpenter shop, or if you take the man to a masonry school, he learned and he doesn't have tools. Where is he gonna start from? How he gonna work? So we hope that the government will be able to do, but the government has to do more. Mainly when it comes to youth issue, the government have to do more because I mean, like the percentage of young people now are overwhelming. The young
Mm-hmm.
people are too much now. The old people are fading away, and the young
Yes.
people are. Whenever you go to a gathering, when you're counting, you count. If we have 100 persons, you will count like, I mean, like 95 or 96 or maybe 80 or 85
Mm-hmm.
young
Mm-hmm.
people. Just few old people. So that tells you
Yeah.
that people are wearing away. So the
Yeah.
government has to do everything possible to make the young people vibrant because when they all are gone, we, the young people are the one that is going to take over this country. So I
Ve-
think government has to do more.
Very good point. And you see, Alva, this is the reason why I said let's take it from the top. Because in that planning, right? You were the one who brought it up. I mean, in that planning, because that planning needs to be very, very strategic. In that
Yeah.
you've got to address different aspects of that plan. Because
Hmm.
no economy on this earth of any nation can create the numbers of jobs in a rapid succession, right? Don't forget
No.
that, Abba
Yes.
and
No.
Lawrence and Rufus. Because every year moving forward, you're going to have, you basically have an assembly line. This is basically a factory that's producing more young people who will be graduating from high school every year. There will be more young people graduating from all the vocational training schools, all of the colleges, the community college or the county community college, getting associates of applied science degrees. They will be graduating from Dogliati with practical nursing. They will be graduating from UMU, STARS, University of Liberia, Cotton. This is an assembly line. Every year, this thing will put out more young people. So how can an economy create jobs? Okay, and Ava added that point in this morning. Value addition. How can an economy? Well, I don't care about other African countries. We can look at other African countries and compare and contrast. But how can the Liberian economy create the number of jobs year after year to meet the needs of the young people coming out of school? And so that they'll be able to start building their foundation for their lives, for their future, for their destiny, for their families, without that economy being industrialized. How can we do this? I mean, is it just talk for the sake of talk and putting it on paper but it never leaves the paper? Because even that program you talked about when this leadership came into office, they talked about training 10,000 youth.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to teach 10,000 youth in IT to go and work in an economy that doesn't have electricity to turn on the power to make the IT infrastructure work, but you're going to train them. That's the definition of creating frustration for you.
But what's the definition of training? Even before we go deep, what is the definition of training? What are they being trained on?
And there you go.
What is the application of that training in the job market? How many of those people can say they got that 2 week or 1 month or 3 months training, whatever? I mean, what did it do for them? You see, that's one of the major things.
Are they marketable? Yeah, are they marketable? Are they marketable? Can any company hire that person and bring it into their bring them into their company and can that person apply what they've learned to help that company produce revenue, to generate profit, to make them profitable? I mean, those are
we can reach out to Abdullah Kamara, who's the head of the LTA that led that program, and see, if he's willing to come on to discuss it, because I think it's something critical. 10,000 is not a small number, to be honest.
It's not a small number. It's not a small number.
10,000 can be significant. How have they been assimilated into the job culture? Or is there any continuous learning program for someone who demonstrated some level of high achievement while they were doing those courses? Because you can identify those high achievers anytime you put a set of people together. You can see the people who will shine. It's not something that will hide. The people who will demonstrate some level of competence or some level of understanding and some level to take themselves to the next level. We're not seeing the result of that program. So maybe we are blind to what's happening. So I will try to reach out to him and see whether he can come and educate us on, the graduates of that program. What are they going on to? And is there a continuous inflow of the next 10,000? Or is the 10,000 for the entire administration and they only did 1,000? So we can better understand.
Maybe it was a one-shot deal. Maybe it was a one-shot deal.
Yeah, and then one shot was the purpose. I haven't seen any report coming out on that, right? So it's very important that we get to these things, because these young people are the future. And he raised a point that if you go Nima right now, the people who advocating for Koga, for what's her name, Ware, and a couple other candidates, they are all young people.
They're all young people. Yeah, that's exactly right.
To do that. If they were gainfully employed, it would just be them utilizing their vote. They don't have to go to that area. They don't have to go to say Muya, or I will say.
So Ava, let me ask the question now. So you just mentioned something, right? Okay. So can we ask ourselves on this program today, to everyone who's listening? So if there's not a strategic plan in place to create jobs in this economy, if there's not a strategic plan to industrialize this economy, put the young people to work, right? Then can we say that the unspoken strategic plan is not to create jobs because you only want to use the young people for political tools and instruments and devices? So when political campaigns come around, you don't want them obligated to jobs so that they can't be pulled away to support political campaigns. I'm just asking the question.
Well, because I can go first. I don't think the thinking is that far or that deep. I just know the thinking is, look, these people then, they're easier to be compromised, they're easier to be used, and they are hungry. We'll keep them hungry. Right?
Yes.
I don't know what is strategically like you lay out.
There is a plan. There is a plan to keep them hungry.
There is an effort to keep the people stupid, to keep the people hungry, to keep the people ignorant.
Yes.
And we keep talking about, we got a democratic form of government, and people don't even understand what democracy is. They don't understand their rights, whether it's their constitutional rights or is their global human rights. We don't have enough information that we share with our people for them to understand, for them to be able to pressure government. For example, we got people in the press, right? Many of them are young people. You know, even when I was doing political stuff or with Mr. Cummings, all the reporters, basically young people.
Yeah.
So which of them have taken this document and teased out what's in it for the youth? Okay.
That's it. Yes.
And put it down. Look, if you go through the document, you will see it, right? So for, let's say, I think this is high level. Okay. Support provided for setting up 50 local packing houses and 50 youth processing micro enterprises to process and distribute cereal and vegetable products. So in the second year of this government, right, we should at least be starting some of that thing or saying, oh, my people, yeah, it is, right? Building the capacity in financial literacy for women and youth engaged in agriculture value chain development. I'm part of the Liberian value chain, agricultural value chain actors, where we're trying to see how we can build these value chains. And this is in the government. So we try to hold the government accountable to some of these things, right? If you say this value chain, you want to exploit the value chains to get youth. It's not like the government does not understand the issues. Right in here, youth. In Liberia, nearly 70% of the population is younger than 35. That's
exactly right.
With about 36% within the 10 to 24 age range, making youth a significant demographic group. This highlights, and sadly, they go to UNFPA for information instead of using our own sense of information. This highlights the importance of addressing their needs and challenges, including their limited access to employment. They know that's a problem for the youth. Education and healthcare, they know that's a problem for the youth, which hinders their potential contributions to national development. Despite being a substantial untapped, they understand it, untapped labor resource capable of boosting agricultural production and enhancing food security. Many young people, now they shift the blame to the young people. Many young people are reluctant to engage in farming as it remains at subsistence level and brings in limited, unpredictable income. So you know there's some reluctance because all these young people don't want to go whole collars or whole. We should be past that slash and burn mindset of agriculture. Okay, agriculture, you got to make it attractive for the people. You got to incentivize it if you want to move the people in the agriculture sector. So and then they say it remains at a subsistence level. Why is it at a subsistence level? Because that facilitation, that support to this sector is not there. The government has to rethink its approach to agriculture, especially in the face of tariffs, in the face of the trade wars that are going on. They got to have business development experts. Whether we use the people in the embassies to say, look, we are on the green revolution in Liberia, we're on an agriculture push. Go out and find the producers, the value addition companies that are in that area, or the people that need raw fruit. They need oranges, they need banana, they need plantain, they need XYZ. And let's try to build relations and export those things and grow more. Then the youth, knowing that they're guaranteed revenue coming in, they will want to work.
That's
I don't think our youth are just lazy like that they don't want to work.
But again, that's my point, Ava. There is not. I mean, if you look at this country as a whole, this is where the Achilles heel always exists. Our inability to sit and strategically plan. Look at the big picture. We do not look at the big picture. The role that energy plays in industrializing the economy, the role that education plays in investing in the young people so that they will be productive, they will be attractive for industries when they come into the country. The role that our agriculture sector plays in terms of, like you said, value addition. And value addition cannot take place without energy being a major component of it. Energy is important for what? For the exploitation of our natural resources, be it our fisheries, our offshore natural resources in fishing in the marine sector, our own land-based natural resources in timber and iron and manganese, whatever it is. You cannot add value. You cannot do the value chain, value addition until you solve this. And without this, you cannot industrialize the economy. So if you cannot industrialize the economy, then how then can you create the number of jobs to meet the number of young people that are coming off the assembly line. Okay, before I go over to Lawrence, one thing, I mean, Ava, you've been in the political arena longer than me. You've been in the Coliseum. You know, you've been a gladiator. You've been on the arena floor. You've held a sword. You've been fighting giants. I've only been in the audience. But the reality is this: I don't think the political environment understands. I think they do, and I think that's where the strategic plan is. Okay, that these young people. I was talking to Lawrence last night. I was talking to Rufus a couple of days ago. Everybody who's in the 8th grade today, every Liberian in every political subdivision in the 8th grade today is going to be a part of the voting public in 5 years. Every young Liberian from Maryland County all the way to Cape Mount, from Montserrat to Nimba to Lofa, every young person in the 8th grade class today, in 5 years, they're going to be a member of the voting public. But the sad reality is, I don't see how this leadership can industrialize the economy and create jobs for these young people, but only to use them, right? The different political groups and sessions, they will use these young people to run around, speak and raise their voices for political slogans. Why? Because the politicians understand that this is the largest voting bloc. So these young people need to understand how vital and how critically important they are and how important their votes will be. So what they need to do now is to galvanize themselves and pressure this very same group that they demand satisfaction. We need to invest in our young people, because if we don't invest in our young people, these young people may be used for the wrong purpose. And that's why I call this whole thing a very clear and present danger to the stability and the prosperity of our nation, our country. It's a very acute problem that needs to be addressed. I mean, before we jump in, the plan you just read about, right, about this the youth empowerment thing, great words made, strung together to make sentences, and sentences strung together to make paragraphs, but it never leaves the paper. It never leaves the paper to come out to actually manifest, to produce something that can transform. Because at the end of the day, Ava and Lawrence, we're talking about transformation. We need to transform this country, not change, but transform this country so that this country can become industrialized, to create the jobs, attract the foreign investment, grow the private sector, reduce the size of government, so that this country can be attractive also to the diaspora. The diasporans can play a meaningful role in industrialization of this country. But again, this energy sector is the sole responsibility of the government. And up till now, there's not a national energy policy or strategy to address this so that it can play a meaningful role in the big agenda, the big plan to create the jobs and provide the opportunities to attract the young people. But then you turn around and you blame the young people, that the young people don't want to go and cut bush and burn bush and plant cassava and stuff like that. I mean, it's just a confirmation that, you've got a lot of the wrong people in the wrong positions making all the wrong decisions. Go ahead, or Lawrence.
I don't want to be personal per se, but I just want to bring in Lawrence.
Yeah.
If you can give us a highlight of your journey, Lawrence, as a young man,
in
terms of opportunities you have faced. Because in my mind, for you to be on this platform with us, that means you're probably in the top 5% or 10% of young people in Liberia. And it may not even be what your real potential is. You could be so much better than where you are today in this studio sitting with us, versus, we understand. Look, when they talk about the vulnerable people, I mean, they understand the problem. A significant portion of the population of Liberia is considered vulnerable, largely due to the impacts of the 14-year civil war. Currently, 52.3% of the population is classified as multidimensionally poor, with an additional 23.3% vulnerable to such multidimensional poverty. But let me just explain to people so they can understand multidimensional poverty at a high level. It's a measurement they use to give you a more comprehensive picture around poverty. So it's not just only your earning that make you poor, you're not making $10, but it's your health, okay? It's your nutrition, is your access to water, is your access to electricity, is your schooling, and the quality of your work. So those are all variables that come into this whole multi-dimensional definition of poverty. And we see that situation affecting a significant number of population.
Yeah. There you go.
52.3% is classified as multi-dimensional poor. Then you add the other 23.3 that right next to that level to be at the same thing. So that's 75% of the population that is at that level of poverty, and including the mentally challenged youths, quote unquote Zogos, households led by elderly members, the chronically ill or disabled, widows, returnees from Ghana, refugees from Cote d'Ivoire, children born under wedlock or from sexual violence, orphans, and single parent young people. That's a significant percent of our population that's
exactly right.
Advantage,
yes.
There's no clear program, from it's not just about this government, it's about what we as a people over time, government to government have done. And this is a brilliant comment from Mr. Howard here, right? He says, how can we industrialize our industry if our kids are not trained? College, yes. Well, what do they study? Most of them run away from the sciences, and that's a fact. A lot of this, because you see, like what China is doing right now, and I keep referring to it about all these 6-year-old up learning AI. You got to start grooming people.
That's exactly right.
Early. Back when we were younger, they used to say, "Oh, girls then don't know math." Are you crazy? Yeah. Many of the smartest people I had in school were the young ladies.
Yep. That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
In a way that they can learn anything. So to say then that women don't know math, that's a disadvantage to them. That's putting them down. Okay, and I believe they are the foundation. All those young women are smart. In general, we should incentivize students to go into the sciences. We talk about STEM, we talk about STEAM, by adding agriculture to science, technology, engineering, and math. And some people even make the letters, and so they add some other stuff there. But yes, if we focus on STEAM, we can get many of our youth to be productively engaged. But it takes effort, it takes commitment, it takes you wanting to put interest in young people and get into the next level. So talk to us, Lawrence. Talk to us.
What's been your journey? What's been your journey?
Just the challenges around you young people, and Rufus, you can come into after Lawrence, but just the challenges and how you see it coming for the next generation. Because what's his name? Aquino said 8th grade, right? But Aquino, most of our children are not age appropriate. So you're assuming that those people in the 8th grade are 13 years old. For many people in the 8th grade are 14, 15, 16, 17. So some of them just got 1 or 2 years to be vote ready. So Lawrence, the floor is yours.
Well, so there are lots of challenges that young people face, but I mean, let us understand that, like we all know, that government can't just do all. We have had a lot of challenges past years, and there will still be lots and lots of challenges. We sit here talking lots and lots of good things about the young people, but then we should understand that the young people too themselves, you understand that they should also change their minds and attitudes. Because if the minds are changed, if the attitudes are changed, even if government won't be able to provide 100% what is to be provided, I mean, they themselves will be able to do something. Like, for a typical example, right? Me, Rufus, where he is right now, where I am right now, like you, Rebecca said, this is not where we want to be. This is not where we're supposed to be. But because of our mindset, we are where we are, and we still pushing to go where we want to be. For me, I always say this to people, right? The youth, the government has to do more. But the youth too got their own side of the bargaining to push forward.
Yeah, agree.
But
A young man, if Rufus or if Lawrence was sitting down with his hand or with our hands between our legs and waiting for government to do everything, I don't think we will be here talking. No, we will not be. Government has to do it. But we ourselves too got a lot of things to do. Like, for typical example, right? A lot of youth, like what Mr. Howard is saying, a lot of young people run away from the science colleges because they don't want to do math, physics, chemistry. When you are putting out graduates, business students are more than any other student within those very colleges. All of the colleges in Liberia. Now, we have some of our youth in this country, right? For us, we brace the storm. We run through it all. Rufus and I worked before at Truth FM, like I told you. And now we are here again, sitting in the same studio because we have almost the same mindset. We should push ourselves. Government will help us, but we should push ourselves. So we should also be able to talk to our young people to be able to help push themselves. Yes, we know government have to do it, but what can you do to help push yourself that when government opens the opportunity, where are you to grab the opportunities? Where are the youth to grab the opportunity? Because the opportunity is not there yet, we agree. But when the opportunities are being made visual, where are you to grab it? So the youth themselves have to understand that, look, government will do it. Government have to do it because that is why we elected them for. We place them in power to make the a private sector vibrant, so as to have so many young people involved into earning. Now, you go to school, you come. Like we talk about training, right? Yeah, when government sends people for training, they should be able to provide the way forward. Because you can't just take 10,000 persons for training, 5,000 youth for training, 15,000 youth for training. After the 3 to 6 months training, you dash their hopes in the. There should be a space. There should be a space for these youth. Even if you are not giving them camel, no, or whatever that you taught them, at least there should be somewhere you can place some of them. So our journey been a very rocky one. For me, my journey been a very rocky one. Very rocky one.
Well, okay. So let me jump in here for a second before Ava comes in. I see Rufus. Rufus wants to join it. The thing is this, okay? So what Lawrence is talking about in the U.S. business community will say, which came first, the chicken or the egg? Was it the chicken that came first, or was it the egg? Now, my question here is this: every successive leadership, past leadership and present leadership, they have their plan. And that plan is based on what? Priorities. Am I right, Rufus? It's based on priorities. Yeah. Everybody has their priorities. And you can see where their priorities are. Why? Because that's where they're investing the money. That's where they're investing the money. No one invests money in something that is not prioritized. Okay, they've got their list of 1 to 100, 1 to 50, 1 to 75, whatever it is. So the first 5 items, that's where they're going to focus all of their attention and invest their money, invest their time, invest their resources to produce fruits for them, because those are their priorities. But let's look at the youth. Is there a proper understanding of how important this youth population is? Again, this is a clear and present danger. That's the reason why you look at all of the so-called foreign investment companies in Liberia, be it the ones that cross the bridge, be it the ones that are on Somalia Drive in the industrial area, be it the mining companies, the Mitals, and everybody else. What is the biggest issue with the Ministry of Labor? These companies cannot find competent, qualified, trained Liberians. So what do? They bring their expats in from other countries who are trained, qualified. Why? Because those countries that those expats are coming from have electricity as a major part of the industrialization process of their country. So that those people, they can bring them in, they're trained, they're educated, they're informed, they have the experience in those specific areas, and they want to place them. Why? Because as you mentioned, Lawrence, the private sector is not about feeding people for free. The private sector is all about profitability. I've invested my money and I want a return on my investment. So that means every employee isn't just an employee. Each employee is an investment. Lone Star, MTN, Orange, you name it. Every employee isn't just someone that's on the books. They are there to produce fruit to make Lone Star, MTN profitable. If you are not making me profit, you have got to go. And this is how the private sector operates, and this is how the private sector works. Now let's come to government. Government has its role and its responsibilities and its obligations. Their job is to create the conditions. Their job is to create the strategic plan so that the private sector can participate in that strategic plan. You get my point. So the private sector sees that the leadership, the government of the country, has a strategic plan to industrialize the economy through energy, through electricity. So they create investment opportunities, investment incentives, so that private companies can invest in the energy sector, so that energy can play a major role, so that government doesn't have to carry the burden 100%.
But again, just read Article 8.
I can't. Let me put on my glasses here.
Okay, I'll read it.
Yeah. Article 8. The Republic shall direct its policy towards ensuring for all citizens without discrimination opportunities for employment and livelihood under just and humane conditions, and towards promoting safety, health, and welfare facilities in employment. There you go. So it's already there.
So
but again,
we say all these things, but we don't do them. So let's hear from Rufus.
Yeah, go ahead, Rufus. Go ahead, Rufus. Yes, let me get off my squawk box. But I'm just saying, the end result is there is a plan. All of these guys, they do have their plan, and their plan is to use the youth for a specific purpose, which is not to develop the youth, but to keep the youth as a tool that they will use for politics. That's my point.
That's my point.
That's it. There is a strategic plan, but the strategic plan is not in the interest of investing in the youth, helping them to be meaningful, competent, attractive instruments to help to grow the economy, industrialize the country, promote economic growth and development. No, we must keep these youth, like you said, hungry, so that when election time comes, we can give them $20 to run up and down in the streets, keep the Pen boys, have a whole convoy of 100 Pen boys and Keke riders behind us. And then, yes, that's the plan. That is the plan. And until, the young people come to understand that that's what they are being kept for and used for, that's when the transformation takes place. Over to you, Rufus.
It's quite interesting. This brings me to a biblical reference talking about Matthew 4, verse 19. That talks about teaching a man to fish. That talks about teaching a man to fish. And we literally see the young people as a tool for violence. We see the young people as a means of enriching ourselves through political means. We don't see the young people as potential leaders. That's why you see our country is where it is, because we're lacking professionals, because most of the elderly ones who were given opportunities back when they were much younger, they see this now as a threat to them.
Yep. That's exactly
when a young man is empowered, what happens? The opportunity the elderly man had to enrich himself will be cut short. He doesn't want the young man to know the do's and don'ts, so that he put himself in the right frame of mind to be a responsible citizen. So for this reason, that's why institutions that are responsible nationally for working in line to get the young people empowered, most of these people who head these institutions are selfish, quote unquote. They are selfish because they know very well when these young people are empowered, they lose grip. They lose grip on the things they see as opportunity when the young people are vulnerable.
Yeah.
They lose opportunity to those things that when the young people are wayward, then my job would be at when the people minds are clear, then I will not have the fundings coming. But when bulk of them are still in the ghettos, I will have more funding coming to do things, and get my cut from every mission I will go to. But if we do not have majority of the young people swayed that way, what's going to happen? All of the resources that should be diverted or given to that aspect will be cut, because we're talking about thematic areas of importance. Where you think is more important is where you spend more money. The less important is where you spend the lesser money. So now, in order to, when it comes to the challenges faced with youth empowerment in this country, I can tell anybody for free, low literacy rate is one of the issues. Economic constraints and the issue that has to do with sector concentration, like you talk about. Now, bulk of us will go to school on the basis, my friend doing banking and finance, so myself too are going to do banking and finance. How many of us do have mentors?
Yeah, there you go.
We don't have mentors, so we just go. That's why you see a lot of people stay longer time in colleges, because they do not have people who will guide them.
Counselors.
There's no counselor. When I was in school, grade school back then, when the Catholic school was Catholic school back then, I don't know about now, we had guiding counselors, we had peer counselors. These counselors will sit with us and try to study where we are good, which subjects we are already good at, and then they guide us. But then you can, when you can put more time in this, you use this as a means to get your professional life. Maybe since you are good, that's how some of us who grew the interest of journalism, because I know my strength is in the literature area and it's in the arts. So spend more time in the arts. That's how we got to where we are today. We spend more time in the arts, and we got all of the opportunities, though it was strenuous. But one of the things that we as young people, we lacking, we are not humble. We are not willing to submit ourselves to authority. We are not willing. We feel that we know it all. And learning has no end. So at the point where you find yourself, if even it is a kid that know that thing that you really want to learn, submit yourself. Bring yourself to the point that little child, the thing that you don't know, that little child will be able to teach you and bring it up to speed. But we are not willing. We want things to happen too much quick. That quick fix thing. That's how we are. Our generation is at the moment. We want it to happen. Yes. That's why you see a lot of young people, we follow things that will just plunge us into unbearable situation. We don't want to endure and and follow the practical stand so that we get there at the point we should get, because life is all about time and chance. So when that time is afforded you, you maximize your time. You utilize the time wisely, but we misuse the time. Oh, the thing will come, the thing will come again. So the unemployment rate, when it comes to the young people will need to put in more time. We need to see ourselves as agents of change. We need to see ourselves as precious jewelry, because
there you go.
The society depends on us.
Of course.
The other ones are fading away.
Yep.
Who's going to step in their shoes? That's what I say. When the minds are developed, the eyes will appreciate the works of the hands. Are we willing for our minds to be developed as young people? The willingness, like you said.
Yes,
Are we willing? You can bring all of the experts and all the kind of stuff here. So the people are not willing. It's just a waste.
Well, but you see, but on that point, right? You made mention of counselors, you made mentions of mentors, right? If you look at it from this perspective, I'm probably going to make both you and Lawrence and probably Ava laugh. There are so many mentors across the Liberian landscape.
They don't send any mentorship,
but they are mentoring and they are counseling the young people in all the wrong directions. You know, you can have a role model. The question is that role model directing you towards the wrong thing, or is that role model directing you towards the right thing? It's a sad thing, because you ask any young kid today, Lauren, you go out, next week, you do some audio video thing for us, and you ask all the young people, they want to be just like any quote unquote person who have embezzled, have taken money illegally from government of Liberia, and the guy living in a big house. He was not prosecuted, taken to court, taken to jail. He got away scot-free. That's who they want to be like. Mm-hmm. And that is a sad reality. It's a sad reality. So, and when those people become the mentors, when those people become the idols, when those people become the role models of the young people in our society, in our Republic of Liberia, this land of liberty that we all love and care for so much, then the question becomes, where are we going as a nation, as a people? And that's why we've got, again, that's why I say, I'm calling this thing a clear and present danger. It is a clear and present danger. There's a clear and present danger that we need to address strategically, very strategically. But again, is the leadership ready to address it strategically? Go ahead, Lawrence, you jump in and then we'll go to Ava.
Okay. So you see, I listened to Rufus and I was just smiling, right? Because I just said something, right? The willingness of the young people. Now, how many young people in this country wants to humble, like Rufus said? It's like he just took almost everything from my head to his head, and he just said it all. Because the young people don't want to get humble. They don't want to humble themselves, right? Now, we talk about government bringing into the country opportunities. How prepared are the youth? I said it before. Rufus just said it, and I'm saying it again. How prepared are the young people? Yes, we must sit here all day wanting government to bring or to open the way, but how prepared are the young people? Most of our young people go to school nowadays. You find out that, like what Rufus said, they don't even know what they want to do. Only because I'm friendly with Rufus and Rufus with me are doing management. Then he ask me, oh, Mama, which of the course you're doing in the school? Mama, I do management. Okay, Mama, I'll go to management too. Are you a manager? Do you have that? That is what happening in Liberia.
So
you most of the young people are not prepared because they are only going behind what their friends are doing. So they are not prepared. So we, as we talking to the government, we should be able to talk to them. We cannot just lay this thing on the government. Yes, the government needs to know that they have to do something to better the lives of the youth. Or what are the youth doing to better their own life? Now, I always tell people, right? You see, in Liberia, most of the young people wants to go into government. Why?
Because they see government people.
There you go.
So that's the quote unquote role model to steal.
That's the role model. There you go. There you go. There you go. Not just steal, but to steal and get away with it.
Of course.
Steal and get away with it.
Because impunity rules.
Yes.
Of course. So you see, how many young people want to do entrepreneurship? How many people want to stand on their own 2 feet? How many young people want to use what they have learned to better their lives? Instead, all they want is to be used. Like we say, the politicians only want to keep the youth in a state of being hungry to use them. And I will come back and say, why will you allow yourself to be placed in a jar that you are only used for the negative?
Okay.
Why would you be used for the negative?
What I would tell you.
So you see, So you see,
I know won't blame the youth. Won't blame the youth, right? But let's look at it like this. You don't start determining where you want your career to be when you get to 11th grade, 12th grade, or when you go register for college. And I'll be honest, I was one of those. In my mind, I wanted to be a doctor when I went to Cottington, right? To go in the sciences. But when I went to register, and I went to play football too in the afternoon. All the labs were in the afternoon. I said, I ain't going to science. I went to economics, right? So if you don't have a guidance counselor in high school for young people or at an early age to start to tell them and encourage them based on their capabilities, like Sam is saying, Sam Mulbach, what is being done to engage the youth to be able to show interest in math and science? You got to drive them towards that. You got to make it quote unquote sexy, attractive. You know, you got to look like here in agriculture, they got 4-H clubs where youths know about agriculture from a very early age. People, you ask them, where you want to be? From the time they're born, they say, I want to be an NBA player. And they've tried, their whole focus is to train themselves towards that direction from an early age. Where do we start to train our young people to take, interest like this, as Sam Mulbach is saying, in math, science, or engineering, or, some kids, like back in the day, kids would get toys and would try to pull it apart and stuff. Then that kid there, he's thinking engineering. And he start pushing him. Many of our kids, they don't even get toys.
So one of the things I also want us to look at, educational reform is important because, mind you, that's why we're lacking professionals in our country in terms of specialty. People are not specialized in areas, even in the journalism that we find ourselves. How many of us specialize in a particular area? In journalism, it's just a broad one, but you have specialty.
Yes, you need investigative journalism. Yeah. You need journalists who focus on economics. You need journalists who focus on the mining sector. They develop deep expertise in those areas.
Yeah, so like that, if you have somebody studying about 15 subjects in high school, what would that mean? That child study all of the unnecessary subjects that would not even be useful to him up there. So we need to go for educational reform. Now, if this person like CW and all of BW Harris, they got people who are lovers of the sciences. You got the art students, you got the science students. So you don't build them with too much issue that have to do with math and something. The people who are specialized in the sciences, they go for the people who are specialized in the arts, they focus more on the arts. So that's why when that person graduates, he's not going to waste his time on other things because he know he wants to specialize in a particular area. So there will not be a waste of time.
Waste of time. That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
We need educational reform. Take most of the things that ain't even worth us
Of course.
studying in schools for high school levels.
But the thing is this though, again, I come back to my point. Is there a strategic plan to utilize, I don't want to use the word exploit, right? Because exploitation can be used in either good or bad. But if you truly look at the youth population of Liberia and exploit that population by investing in that population, right? I've noticed in the U.S., in the voting public here in the U.S., they call them blue collar workers. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ava. They call them blue collar workers. You can Google it. The blue collar workers are basically the folks who are in the industrial trades, the plumbers, the carpenters, the truck drivers, the male people, all of the people who do air conditioning repair, all the people who are in the vocational trade, they are working with their hands. That, if you look at an economy, that is the foundation of that economy. That economy sits on the blue collar workers. You mentioned somebody, I think you mentioned Ghana. Look at the Ghanaian economy. Look at how many young people in the Ghanaian economy. They're in the IT sector. They're in the electrical sector. Why? Because electricity is the main driver. When President Mahama came into office, what did he do within the first 1 or 2 weeks? He had a major meeting with the entire energy sector, focusing to make sure that we're not going to have any more brownouts, no more blackouts, no more power outages, no more stoppage. Why? Because we want a resilient, strong, and vibrant energy sector that will support the industrialization of this economy for the next 4 or 6 years. Because my strategy and my plan is going to depend on this. Because again, I've got the same youth problem like every other neighboring country in the ECOWAS region. The youth population is the largest population in every population segment in every country. Be it for voting, be it for education, the youth population. You look at the internet companies, you look at all the mobile operators. Where do they make the bulk of their money? It's from Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp. And who's spending all the money for data every day across Liberia? It's the young people. The young people spend the most amount of money. So again, every company, every business person in the private sector and in government is exploiting the youth population for their own agenda. That's just the reality. But again, we as a nation, as a people, the question is our leadership, or does our leadership, do we have a plan? Is there a big plan, a big strategy to show that, in the next 5 years, our country can be industrialized with the energy infrastructure we need, so that we can support the agriculture sector that will absorb a large number of young people. One thing I will put into this discussion this morning is, I think one of the challenges we have again, right? You talk about, Lawrence, you were talking about, okay, very good. I got Sam joining the show. Sam, morning. Welcome to the show. He's a young Liberian here in Houston, Texas, and he's very engaged from the diaspora perspective, trying to re-engage, connect to young people in Liberia. Again, that's another important thing, building the bridge. But before I go over to Sam, Joe Bamori, the question is decentralization. So when the minister was talking, right, I think, Lawrence, you were saying that the Minister of Youth and Sports were talking about getting the young people off the street. Okay, which streets? Is it just the streets of Monrovia, or the streets of Kakata, or the streets of Smenotes, or the streets of Bomi? So only Monrovia matters? Or is it the street of San Nicolas, or the streets of Ganta, or the street of Harper, or Plibo, or Tapita, or the streets of Wanjima? So that's one of the other big challenges. We as a people, our leadership, do not think in the decentralized way to create a solution that will address the same problem across the country. Across the country. So if there's a national strategy to address youth unemployment, then it has to be broken down according to political subdivisions. There's got to be a strategy, the same strategy for Grand Bassa, for Riversex, for Grand Cru, for Sino, for Maryland, for Kidma, for Bombing, for Bapolu, from the administrative side of government, and then it can be funded through the legislature as well, because every member of the legislature represent what? You got 2 senators for every county, and then you have all the representatives. So the question now becomes, what is the decentralized strategy to address this? You see that, and I think that's where the problem is. When that minister was talking, he wasn't talking to take young people off the streets across Liberia. He was only specific, only zooming in and looking at Monrovia, but not the country as a whole. So let's introduce yourself, and you can join the show. Thank you for joining Business Talk today.
Hey everyone, thank you for having me on. My name is Sam Oba. I'm a chemical engineer, working as a production engineer right now at Daikin. I was listening to the conversation, and something has really got my attention when we was talking about the youth. My question is basically, what are we doing now to engage the youth to show interest in math, science, of those sorts? Like, what are we doing right now? Because I know that when I was younger, here in the States, what we used to go to, free field trips. And basically they would have all these exciting things there, like projects that's being done, that we see things with our own eyes, how they build it using these kind of instruments. So like, is this something that we could implement back home to engage the youth, to basically to get some kind of excitement when it comes to these things? So that was something that, because in order for us to engage the youth, we have to show something.
Yeah.
We have to show something in
You
order
gotta
for
make
them to
it
show
attractive.
interest.
You're right.
Yeah.
Look,
Yeah.
I can give an example. Sam, wonderful. Welcome to the show. I'm excited to see a young engineer like you, and and also interested in what happens in Liberia and everything like that. So, right now you got me feeling excited. I think that many young people on this side, I will need to kind of push their vision that way and get them engaged. But the point you're making is, my nephew, he went to one summer program, a science program. We're talking about robotics and mechanical engineering.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And he's getting his PhD in robotics and mechanical engineering today.
Yeah.
As a result of that.
That's what led him to focusing on sciences, improving his grades and everything. Because he, like my son, he was smart, but he won't do his schoolwork. But then just knowing that requirement that you got to be up at a certain level to get into college to do, the sciences, it just boosted him.
Yeah.
Okay. So these young people, they are smart. I believe everybody is smart once you drive them in the direction of their capability.
Yes, there you go.
You can utilize that talent. But if you got somebody in art and you won't put the insides, it's not gonna work.
It's not gonna work.
That's why you need college counselors, because high school counselors at an early age they can determine that. That's why you need exposure to these different kinds of things. I mean, I remember, and maybe it was a thing to do, and maybe they're still doing it. We took a field trip to beer factory when I was in high school. And maybe that's the place that opened itself for people to see the processes, right? Mm-hmm. But we need kids to go to maybe Metal Steel. I hope the kids in Nima, some of them get that opportunity to make a field trip to go to Metal Steel. People in Firestone, hopefully, the kids who are in the regular schools there. I don't know, you were in that area, Akina, whether you did some
we did. I mean, I can name some of the. I mean, we went on many field trips. We went to the factory. We went through the rubber line. We saw where the trucks brought the rubber. We went to the hydro, the Firestone hydro. We went through the tubes to see where the water. We went through the reservoir. We walked around the reservoir where the water came in. We went to see a lot of things. Why? To make an
35 years later, you still remember.
That's exactly
everything.
right. In fact, put the comment of what's his name, J. Cephas Akolase. I don't know what his Cephas is. So I was just laughing to myself when I read Cephas's comment. He said, I am one of those kids who took all my toys apart. My mother made me to put her sewing machine back together after she caught me taking it apart. I was 5 years old and I became an engineer. And I can relate because I took every radio apart. All my father's radios, I took them apart. I mean, you name it. I mean, you buy, the owner will buy a radio on Monday. By Friday, I had it all apart. I wanted to get all the way down. And what did I end up doing after graduating from Rick's? I chose to go to BWI Accelerator Program. And look at me today. I'm an engineer. And then it also back to Firestone. So again, Sam, you're 100% correct. And Ava, you're right. Field trips are very, very important to the young people to get them positioned right. And Rufus, it was a great thing you brought up that point. Counselors. Where are the guidance counselors today? That's why they call them guidance counselors, to guide the young people. Because again, everything from the most formative years of the child's life, train up the child in the way you want them to go, to G-O, not to grow, but to go. What direction you want our young people to go. We want these young people to be productive citizens so that when investors look at Liberia, they can say, you know what? That country has an attractive youth population. They're up to date on IT. They're engineers in that youth population. They're energized. They're plugged into the internet. They know what's happening globally. And the country has a rich have been made investment in vocational training schools in all the counties. And those are the things that will make our country attractive to investors. You see, so Sam, speak on the fact that you are a young Liberian. You're here in Houston. You're a chemical engineer. You work as a production engineer, and the young people population in your age group here in Houston, and your desire for you guys to go back to reconnect to other young Liberians in Liberia to at least make an impact, to associate, to interact with Liberians from that perspective. Talk about that.
Okay. First and foremost, with that, you have to have a hunger, right? You have to have a hunger to do what it is that you want to do. If that hunger is not there, then it's basically you're just gonna do things without no passion or anything like that. Like with me, the hunger to be able to solve problems, it was there from a young age. I was very curious, very curious on how these things work. And what do this thing do? And the thing is, I'll go around and ask questions. If I don't understand it, I'll go around and ask questions because I was very curious. So that's what led into my field, having that interest, having that passion. Um, um, and that the question, what was the question again? One more time.
I mean, how did the age group, your age group of Liberians here in Houston, your desire, your commitment, your hunger to reconnect to the same age group in Liberia? I mean, to interact, to exchange ideas, travel back home and things like that.
Yeah, definitely. Right now, I know a lot of my peers. I have some that actually travel back home to actually engage with the young people there right now. That desire is there for us to do so because what we learn here, the skills that we have here, we're willing to transfer it there. But also too, in order for us to get the young people involved in these kind of things, they have to be surrounded by things that is attractive. We have to start with the attraction. Why these things are so important? Why is it important? You use math every single day. You don't even some people don't understand. Every day of life, there's something that has to do with math. There's something to do with critical thinking. Every single walk, paths of life, there is something have to do with these things. And how do we get the young people engaged into that? Go around basically do a men's group or a women's group or something like that, and just talk about the importance of these things. Not only talking about it, but actually demonstrating it. Demonstrating these things. Okay, how to build this? What do I need to build this? What goes into me building this? When you start doing stuff like that, now the interest of those young people will be more exciting for them. Okay, I really want to see exactly why this is built this way. So that kind of mindset will start to develop. And as that mindset starts to develop now we have people now like youth that are curious to continue to do such things. So definitely it is an interest for me one day going back to engage with the youth, to just get them excited about learning, because you learning every single day. there is no there is no place in life where you stop learning. I'm still learning, even though I'm in my
I am
field.
still learning. I call myself
Exactly.
Yeah,
a
I'm learning
professional
every
learner.
day
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah, we are still learning. There is not a, I don't care how smart you are. If a smart person say that they already know everything, that's a lie. You don't know everything.
So Sam,
You know?
I will promise you, when I
Hmm.
go to Liberia, I got a school that I kind of help on 18th Street in Sincor.
Hmm.
I will set up something for you to at least talk to the kids. We need to be doing a little bit more of that, that people can incentivize these kids and talk to them about their future, about
Hmm.
opportunities and stuff like that. So really, thank you for coming to the show. I think you'll be an inspiration
And,
to
and
a lot of you.
one of the things I so admire here when he talked about us engaging as young people. But let us understand another thing that is serving as a stagnation to our progress as young people. We have too much of hate amongst us.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
We have too much of hate amongst us.
Yeah.
And that
When a,
that 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 crab mindset, we keep
yeah,
teaching them. That's where it starts. The mindset.
The
The
crabs.
mindset.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know why the head is there? It comes from the
when
Yeah.
when it is Rufus, Lawrence don't want to form part of it.
Mhm.
When it is
Mhm.
Lawrence, Rufus don't want to form part of it.
Oh yeah.
It must be me, myself,
And
and
I.
I.
Yeah,
How will you
yeah.
learn?
Yeah.
How will you learn? You won't learn.
Yeah.
and I have that problem
There's no
with a lot
end
of
to
my friends
learning.
too.
Yeah.
I love to network people and pull people together and see if they can build their own relationships. But
Mhm.
a lot of time, oh my man, I want to talk to that man. Why? Oh my man, that man, that man. You know the man enough. You haven't engaged him, but you're not willing to have a conversation with him. That's
Mhm.
wrong. We really have to change our mindset, how
Yeah.
we look at each other, how we engage each other, and
Correct.
be able to help each other. Not every time, every relationship, you extract something from it, because that the whole extractive mindset that has
Mhm.
That's a good
imposed
point.
by
Yeah.
Yes,
our country,
yes,
Yeah.
from our
yes,
mineral
yes,
resources to our intellectual talent to everything. We have just built up an extractive resource, and
yes.
because we
Yes,
keep the
Yeah.
pie
yes.
so small, it's like I got to be selfish and hold on to this. So we
Mhm.
need to expand our minds. The people in position need to be open. They need to be accepting of young professionals. Don't
Mhm.
feel that somebody come and take your job. There's just
Mhm.
so many things around mindset I've always written about, that we
Yeah.
as Liberians really need to change our mindset towards each other. We need to show more love.
Yeah.
We need to work together. We need to find ways. That's why I consistently find ways to collaborate. Some people ask me, oh,
Mhm.
you in this, you in that. But if I don't try to get in this and that, I can bring other people to the table so they can recognize the other professionals that exist and the potential of what collaboration can yield, as opposed to individualism or just taking it on your own. So,
Yeah.
this is wonderful. I'm really enjoying this conversation. And
Go ahead, Sam.
And
I see you wanting to join in. Go ahead, Sam.
yeah,
Speak on what? Yeah.
and let's attack this mindset situation. Like how I got the understanding of changing your mindset. What goes on? So with me, I look at things. I'm a critical thinker, and I guess I would talk about God on here. Like the Holy Spirit really revealed this thing to me, how the mindset work. So, for example, at our job, right? We in order for us to operate our conveyor, we use a PLC system, right?
Mhm.
A PLC system that we use. In order for us to tell that sensor exactly what to
can you
do,
break down PLC so our people can understand what PLC means?
it's like a programming, how you call it, like a
It's a
programming
programmable logic
language.
controller. It's a programmable
Yeah,
logic controller. Okay.
yeah. So with that, in order for us, so the sensor, what the sensor is basically the sensor operates on the condition that you give it, right? So if you want that conveyor to go at a certain point, you want it to stop for the employees to conduct some kind of process there, you have to give it a condition. So with that condition, you basically put into the software what it is that you want it to get done. So that is download into the software, right? So with the mindset, how do we look at the mindset as a human being, right? The mindset, what you download into your system, into your mind, that's what will come out.
That's exactly right.
You see, whatever
Exactly
you
right.
download, if you're
As
downloading
semantic as so
positive,
is he.
yeah, if you're downloading positive things in your mind, what you're watching, the things that you're doing, the friends that's around you, those things affect, what it is, what goes in. Because when it goes in now your body get a hold of it, your flesh get attached to it, and now you want to
Yep.
show action. So that's how it works. So with me, like when it comes to those kind of things, I'm very patient. I'm a very patient person. I'm very consistent. So in order to change the mindset back home, we have to start downloading these things into our young people mind for them to be able to captivate it. And how do we do that? By bringing change around them, the environment, what they see
Yep.
every single day.
Yep.
We need to start making those kind of changes, bringing things in that's attractive, bringing things in like fixing up things, like fixing up buildings, stuff like that, bringing those kind of things that attracts them, you know. Then now they'll start downloading those things in their mind instead of, oh, look at this place is the road 90 fixed here, this. Like that's what they're downloading in. So we
Yes.
got to be able to do these things in order to get our young people to change our mindset. Like I'm not better
And,
than you. I'm still walking the path of life, you know?
and Sam, you bring up a very important point. Rufus, you were also alluding to that point as well. The thing here is, when we were in, Firestone Staff School growing up, I'm sure some of my Firestone friends are all on here listening. We were put in small groups. So you talk about this hate, right? This hate issue because hate is not taught, it's learned.
Mhm.
Okay, so I've talked about how the Chinese have already done their forecast to see that AI is going to be the future. So they're already preparing their young people,
Mhm.
preparing their young people and investing in their young people so that their young people will be prepared. So year after year, these young people, every year they're going to be greater than the previous year. Every year they will be greater than the previous year. So what are we doing to prepare our young people to address this issue of hate and lack of collaboration? We need to put these young people from the time they're in preschool, in elementary school, let them work on quote unquote projects together, even if it's a puzzle project. Because when they work on puzzle projects together, like Sam said, you work in groups. Everybody doesn't have the same idea, but everybody has a different perspective.
Right.
How that piece fits in there. And that's where you start training the young people that working together to create, again, the mastermind, right? Think and Grow Rich. Think and Grow Rich. This book right here, Think and Grow Rich. The mastermind. How when people work together, they exchange idea, and then in that working together, because they're in the classroom, year after year, they have to work together. By the time they graduate or get to 12th grade, where is the science fair? Are we having more science fairs in Liberia, or we're having more beauty pageants? I'm not saying beauty pageants are bad. I'm just saying, are we putting our young people, are we investing in our young people? Have we prioritized our young people? Are we training our young people? And are we then providing the support infrastructure, such as electricity that's behind me here, so that these young people, year after year, as they improve and get better, they can be placed in the industrialized economy, where they're able to get the high salaries, the good salary, and improve the quality of life. And like Sam said, the environment now becomes a part of their sensory, because they can see a cleaner country, a cleaner city, a cleaner town, a cleaner village. Okay. And then all of those things play into it. So again, I think, addressing our young people need to truly be taught, okay,
Wait,
in
wait.
a way so that they can learn.
Who said hate is not taught, is learned?
Well, in order for someone to learn something, they have to teach it, right? They have to teach
Oh,
it.
yeah, but you say it's not taught.
Did I say? Okay, well, again, I was talking too fast. So
because I saw a video the other day where
okay,
they gave a white baby to a black guy to hold.
yeah,
and the baby was happy. Even the mom wanted to take the baby back. No, she wanted to stay with the black guy. So the thing was, nobody born with racism in their blood or anything like that. So it's definitely taught and it's definitely learned. And the same way with a lot of these bad habits, you know, what the kids see, and that's some of the things sometimes parents don't think about. Somebody will give me an example. You know how, you know, people who, let's say you owe somebody $50 and they come to your house and you in your house, you tell the children, oh, tell the man yet. So your kids start learning how to lie, learning how to avoid situations. Instead of coming outside to that man and say, my man, I don't have your money yet, but you lying and you using your kids to lie for you.
Yes.
And a lot of people do that stuff, you know, in general, in so many different ways. So this whole thing about the growth mindset for the entire community that Mr. Freeman has shared with us here is true. Because the youth, most of the time, is what they're learning, what they're applying. Today, I don't drink because my pa say the liquor in the bottle, Gino, it made a bottle dance, it made a bottle cuss, it made a bottle fight. Or you go drink the liquor, you will do all those things. And most are not true. You drink, you'll be loud. You do some things that you not normally do. So the things we learn from our parents early or the people in our community, you know, because it takes a village.
They come into
sticks
us.
in our mind.
Yes,
you know?
exactly
So
right.
hopefully we can all start to change. But let's try to start talking some solutions. You know, Sam helped us with in terms of the mindset thing.
The mindset,
in terms of some of the little things that people can do. But for our youth right now, especially those between 18 to 35 at the employment age, what's some of the specifics that could come out that, you know, can get these people engaged? For me, I look at, you know, I talk about this whole value addition thing all the time. But if we just look at some of the sectors, like iron ore, and there's some metrics out there, like let's say if you're producing 1 ton of iron ore, it takes about 10 employees to get that production, right? So if we are increasing our, you know, production of iron ore, and then if we add value, the value addition, it brings more people. So the raw iron ore process, raw iron ore at 1,000, you know, 1,000 ton for 10 people, maybe the processed where we adding some level of value, it will be, you know, 5 or 6 more employees, right? So when you look at 500,000 tons, okay, and you're adding 5 more, that 2,500 jobs you're increasing. So value addition, and you go across industry to industry to industry. I don't want to pull you guys with the math and stuff, but I've done a lot of that stuff.
It's good.
It shows that we can change our country faster, because nearly every job in Liberia that somebody making $200, $250, which is low, is for about 4 to 5 people. Because some of these young people, they're supporting their homes where they're born, and they're supporting their girlfriend. So it's like 4 or 5 people on average. Anybody with a job with support. So we really need to look at this stuff and be able to, you know, make that difference for our people. And honestly, I don't care what anybody say, it really starts with government. And to a large extent now, the diaspora and the resources in the diaspora need to be more active. We need more STEM Molobas, more young people, you know, looking at us. Maybe they may not be able to transition now because they are building their careers and stuff like that. But with the virtual world we're in today, you can be anywhere and share knowledge. You can be anywhere and participate with people. And those conduits need to be established for us to be able to really have impact on what's going on in Liberia.
Now, okay, so you bring 1 minute there.
Alexandra?
Oh, she called in?
No, there's a post made.
Okay, let me answer her question. She asked,
I
would like to know if there's a Liberian magazine that features Liberians, whether local or in the diaspora, who have succeeded in a specific domain and who impact the country in a way that the achievement can be assessed. The simple answer is no.
No.
And I know she's not talking politics or stealing and stuff. So there's not a magazine right now, Alexandra, but I'm coming up with a list of the top 100 Liberian professionals. If you want to join and help in our effort, I totally welcome you. We still got some ways to go. And eventually we'll probably print it, but it was probably launch the list on May 31st when the Liberia Diaspora Equity Fund is having its event in Massachusetts. But right now we need other people to bring other names. We have the names and we'll do the selection very soon, but we need other people to be aware and know, because we got a lot of talented people. Some of the professionals whose names I have gotten trying to reach out. I'm surprised at the level of success among Liberians that we don't recognize. We don't try to, utilize and push in a certain direction. Is there only a few people in a cycle thinking they're leading the country when they're not leading the country in the right direction? So that's where we need to expand the pie and change that dynamic. But wonderful question, Alexandra. If you are interested, let me know.
Now, so the point you brought up there, right? The industrialization of the value chain, right? So when you start investing in the energy sector, I think this is one of the challenges that we Liberians have. You brought it up very, very eloquently here, Ava. So number of persons used or required in processing the iron ore in its current state, which right now Liberia is only exporting just the iron ore, quote unquote, dust, wherever it is. It's raw, and we're exporting raw ore. When you go to industrializing that process, when you go to industrializing the process, where you're investing in energy infrastructure to support the industrialization of what they call now the Mittal Phase 2 aspect of it. Keep in mind, Ava, once you move to industrialization, you're bringing in more machines that are more technologically controlled and driven. Like Sam mentioned, the PLC. I work with the PLC on a daily basis. It's one of the more very important products that we sell and we supply to the oil and gas sector, process automation, different sectors, from all the soft drinks, the food and everything. The PLC is very, very important. It's critical. It's called a programmable logic controller. It's the brain of the process. You program it to do certain, whatever it is you want to do. You're boiling water, you control, you're mixing, whatever the case is. Liberians once you move to industrialization, then now what happens, like you rightly said, is the number of persons involved in that process become less, but the salaries increase because the knowledge base also increases. So the question now becomes, are there Liberians trained? We're back to this training. We're back to this strategic planning. Do we truly understand that this industrialization process that will be done as a result of investing in the energy sector, are we preparing and investing in the young people? Because I can guarantee you one thing. If you think the Ministry of Labor is getting complaints about Mittal Steel bringing in foreign people to work, you wait until they fire up their two power plants, the 20 megawatts in Buchanan and the 70 megawatts in Yekepa, to industrialize phase 2. All the machines, most of the machines will be fully automated, and Liberians will not have received the training and the competence and the know-how to run, to operate, and to maintain those machines. So Mittal is going to what? Bring in a lot of foreign workers to do that. Why? Because again, there was not a strategic plan by government to understand that Mittal was focusing on phase 2 to industrialize their mining concession. So this is the issue. There is no strategic plan. And that strategic plan is not decentralized to address all of at the county level. It is not even encompassing all the young people in the counties, because this same issue exists not only in Montserrat, it exists in every county. And what are we doing about Bay Mountain? How are the young people being addressed in that area? What are we doing up with our timber resources or the young people there? So there is not a strategic. So every time you industrialize, we need to make sure we start investing in the young people now, so that when these companies come, we can have the young people ready to be what? To be embraced, to be absorbed by these companies. Because if we don't do that, We will only be used as a country that people will come to and extract natural resources, and we will remain in this poverty state because we haven't industrialized our economy. That's just the reality. Go ahead, Rufus. You can chime in here. Right? How do you see? I mean, like Alva said, let's talk about solutions now. So, what can we do? What can leadership do? What can leadership do? What solutions? What strategy can leadership put forth? Alva said government has a role. I believe government has a role. Government is the referee. Government writes the rules of the game. There are fewer referees on the field, but there are more players. So the players are there, but then where are the rules? And government has to be the enforcer. Go ahead, Alva. Go ahead, Rufus.
So, like I said initially, what we need here, we should first, like I always say, when the minds are developed, the eyes appreciates the works of the hands. So, in order to get this done and in finding a solution, we must go back to educational reform. We need educational reform. We need an enabling environment that will be created by government so that young people can have the opportunity to align themselves to areas where they can specialize in and make themselves useful to the society and not being a liability to the society. And I also love for us to look at, as young people, we need to look at our cycles. Who we align ourselves with is a key thing that we need to do.
Yep.
Who we align ourselves with. The idle mind is the devil's workshop.
Yep.
There's a saying that says, show me your friend and I will tell you who you are. Birds of the same fellow flocks together. So if you align yourself with people who will not bring out the best out in you, trust me.
Cut them off. Cut them off.
Yeah. So we need to align ourselves with people who are innovative, people who think positive, because we want to obtain that positive energy. This is a workaholic person, and I've aligned myself with him. I call him my mentor. Since I got connected to you, Mr. Phillips, you have been so instrumental in pushing me to get things done. Unlike where I will feel so like I say, God, ain't no using that still way of getting things. But I see my alignment and my association with you have brought me to a point where I can say this time, working with time frame, working in time is very important. Knowing the value of time. I have learned the value of time. I have learned to be very proactive. I've learned a lot just by association. So we as young people, we need to watch our association in order for us to grow. If you align yourself with somebody who will just want you to go do IOC, and at the end of the day, put on it out of your pocket. If you align yourself with somebody who wants you to go and throw stones, and at the end of the day, when you are hit, he's in his bedroom while you're in the hospital.
Yeah.
That's how your life's going to end up, because every day of our life as young people, it adds on us. And when you are not in a positive direction, it subtracts from you greatly.
Yeah.
It subtracts from you greatly. That's why you see, amongst us, we have not grabbed the concept yet to understand that you and the person are in classroom. Let's take for instance, you and the person in classroom, you were very close. The man spent more time studying his lesson. You were there playing. The man, at the end of the semester, the man passed to the next level. You remain there. You are no longer peer any longer.
No,
You just because he have gone to a level where he gonna rub shoulder with the people that are up there.
Up there.
So he said, "Oh, that man are my friend, and he get my tagging." Have you sat yourself down and asked, why is he not engaging with you any longer? Because the time he needed you to put your mind in studying, you were there playing. But he kept he was persistent, like Sam said. Persistency, consistency comes. Let me just give you a short story before I give the floor to others. We were three that started on this journey as cadet at Love FM way back in 2006.
Wow.
And I said to myself, this place, I will remain here, I will learn, and I will reach the highest peak of this institution. And all other men, we recently played, it got tough, they dropped. We used to pay our own way to come. I was still persistent, and I kept focused regardless of the hurdles and all the kind of discouraging words that were coming my way. I remain focused, and I am today. I rose from levels to levels, and I'm here. My dream have come to reality, being the head of the institution, from being a cadet to where I am today. If I was not consistent and persistent, God first, I wouldn't have achieved or have reached where I am in a profession that people can regard me. So a lot of us, when we start something and it is not working, we have this too much expectation. Our expectation nowadays as young people is so high. We want it to happen as fast. We don't want to be persistent and have that patience to endure the challenges that come our way. We just want it to happen overnight. It doesn't happen that way. So if I are going to mark all of the bad words, all of the trying times, I wouldn't have reached where I am. Though I'm not where I want to be, but I'm not where I used to be.
Amen. Yep. Go ahead, Lawrence. Take the floor, Lawrence. It's yours time. We'll do Lawrence. We'll do Sam, and then we'll do our closing.
You know, not to blow time. You know, we have already said all we had to say. I mean, for me, all I can say to the young people listening, merely in Liberia, we should change our mindset. We should prepare ourselves. Yes, we will sit on the Vera talk shows like we are here with Business Talk, discussing issues that has to do with the uplifting of the young people of Liberia. And there are other people who are also discussing similar thing that we are discussing here today. But the young people of Liberia, meaning those who are in Liberia, it's about time that we prepare ourselves and stop being used, because there will always be people who will set that stage that they only want to use the young people to do, I will say, and stuff like that, for them to be able to enrich themselves. So we here in Liberia, the young people, we have to prepare ourselves. And in preparing yourselves, you have to change your mind and change your attitude. Like my namesake always says, I think he had a program. I think his program should still be on in Grand Bassa. The former information minister, his name is Lawrence Butler. Changing minds, changing attitudes. We have to take on that whole step, so as to when all of the actors have talked and talked and talked, and government starts to listen, we should be prepared. Like the young man over there, Sam. Like Sam Moba, he's a young man, a very young guy, right? Now, if he decides to say, look, I want to help some youth in Liberia, since I'm an engineer, let me see how best I can put things together to open a little vocational school to get people there to be able to join me. I'll prepare. So this is why I come. We have to get ourselves prepared. So as when government comes in and other people come in to help, we should be prepared. Most of the youth in Liberia right now, they place themselves into a box to be used. Like you just put a lot of rocks in a basket, and then it just sits somewhere. Whenever you're ready to chunk the plum, then you go for it, put it down, and start chunking the plum. So for me, I think I will stop here for today. And I mean, we have to see our best. We, the young people of Liberia, we have to be focused and we have to prepare ourselves for the government to come, the government that is on, and whoever that will be able to open those doors that we will be able to improve ourselves.
Over to you, Sam. You chime in here. What do you see as a solution?
All right. So first and foremost, we all have said the same thing. It first started with the mindset. The mind. We have to renew our mind on things, on how we see things, how we perceive things. We have to renew our mind, and also too, we have to take actions. I feel like if we don't like how things are as young people, what are we doing about it?
Yep.
What are we
There
doing to
you go.
show awareness? How are we going about it? If we don't like a certain stage that we're at, what are we doing to bring awareness to how we see things or what change we want? So I feel like this stage for young people back home is now we have to show actions. If you want change, you have to show, okay, what kind of change do I want? And we had to be willing to be able to go forth and gather that resource that we need. If we don't have that resource, if we cannot obtain that resource, what do? Talk to people, talk around. Who can I talk to about a certain situation? In order for you to bring change, actions has to be done. But first, you have to renew your mind on what it is
Yep.
you want. You have to renew your mind. The mind is so important. It is so important. you know like I believe that you can do anything that you want to do. You can accomplish anything in life that you want to do. I'm a prime example. I have been testing things to see how far to push my limit. And when I tell you, when you focus on things that you want to be done, you can get it done. For example, I started this home renovation where I never dealt with tools, never dealt with anything before. The thing is, sometimes in life, we get impatient and we stop because it's like we want it done right away. But in order for change to come about, you had to be patient and be willing to. If things doesn't work out, don't stop there. That doesn't mean that how you call it, things will not work out. No, re-strategize. Come back to the drawing board and re-strategize. Okay, how do I attack this now? How can I go about it in a different way? But now I know more information on this thing. How can I attack it in a different way to proceed? You see, so we gotta be willing to just be patient, and also move in action. Change will come, but it's just the willingness of what are we doing now to bring that change. What kind of things we're putting down to bring that change. So young people, like, man, we are the future. We are the future. We are the future. And I'm sorry to be like put God in this, but me, like, without God, like, I'm nothing, to be honest. So any conversation I have, I had to bring him up. We are the future. The devil knows that. The devil knows that the young people are the future. So what is he trying to do? Attack the young people. Attack the mind. The mind. He attacks the mind. That's what he does. Because if he could get here, he could do anything that he wants to do.
That's exactly right.
You see? So as young people, we just had to be prepared for change. We had to accept that we want change. And then when we accept that we want change, now action had to come about it. Action had to come about it. What do we do in order to bring this change? So I'm very excited for the youth back home. I know there's a lot of my peers here in America, who are strategizing right now to be able to go back home, to be able to put things on the ground for young people, for them to see something positive, something that is attractive, to where they will be more engaging on change. So a lot of my peers here, we're getting prepared for that. We right now strategizing on what to do, and I will gather more peers here as well to be able to do that. But Liberia young people, we're excited for the future because we're going to get there. We are going to get there. So yeah, that's all I have to say.
Great.
Yeah, thank y'all for having
Great.
me.
Alva, you want to start doing our closing, because I think we got
Yes.
about 5 or 6 minutes. Let's start closing. Let's start closing.
Yes. I just wanted to share two graphs
Okay.
showing potential stuff in two sectors, right? So let me and this is about not two sectors, multiple sectors, but it's about the agriculture sector, and then the mineral sector. So let me do this quickly so people can just get a taste. If we were to do this thing right, if the focus can be on value addition, on creating these jobs, the kind of jobs that will actually be there. Yes, it's work, because you got to think to do these things. It takes training, it takes everything. But let's just go to the slide. Let me share my screen. I'm trying to find where we are. Okay, there we go. So share screen.
I see that the comments today on this topic are very, very positive. It seems like we really, really struck a nerve with everybody today. I think a lot of people I think a lot of people out there see what we see. And I think a lot of people out there feel what we feel, Rufus. What do you think? While Alva is looking for his graph, what do you think?
Yeah, certainly a lot of people grabbing what we have foreseen, and it is important that we look in that direction, as always, like we always maintain, not to be political, but rather stick to the issue that matters to the growth and development of our minds and our surroundings.
Good. Okay, Alva, he got his chart up. Let's go.
Yeah.
So prop-based job creation estimate.
Okay. All right. So let's look at rice, palm oil, cocoa, coffee, moringa, corn, soybean, cassava, vegetables, right? Okay. Illustrate numbers for every 1,000 ton of this product, you got this amount of jobs, right? So if you're producing 1,000 tons of rice, it's about 10 people work. 1,000 tons of palm oil, about 8 people work. Now, these are rounded numbers. So 2.5 will be 3. I probably should have done 1 decimal place. But if you do value addition, you get 3 times the amount of job. Basically.
That's exactly right.
Or 2.5. Yeah, these 3s are 2.5. The 4 is, 3. So you see the baseline jobs, if we're doing this, would be 1,000. Let's say 100,000 ton will be 1,000 rice, 800 palm oil. But when you do value addition, look at the difference between the jobs.
That's exactly right.
So an average of 3 times the number of jobs that you will get. And it's not rocket science. It's something that's doable. Even if we say we take one sector, like now there's a lot of focus on rice. If they can just quantify this thing, today in Liberia, we are producing, 50,000 tons of rice. Next year, based on what we do this year in terms of planting and XYZ, because the government right now is into a process. There's a bid out to rehabilitate at least, I want to say probably like 2,000-3,000 hectares of land. So they got to inform people that they're doing this. They got to inform people that other than 2,000-3,000 hectares, when they plant it, they will get X amount of production, right? And how to incorporate that production. You don't want to say that you want people to buy it. So how do you change the palate, the taste buds of people that they want this kind of rice, or they want whatever we produce in Liberia? So we can see the jump. We can see the jump in jobs. And it's just essential. If we just go to the mineral sector, right? Iron ore. And these are just guesstimate about the number of jobs. But the growth factor, if you were to move from raw iron ore, exporting raw iron ore, to actually processing the iron ore in Liberia. So look at from 47,000 jobs, if you're doing iron ore, rubber, timber, gold, diamond, these are all sectors, and these numbers are probably lower than the people employed in those areas or the people doing work in that area. But if you start processing all those output, you increase the number of available jobs. So basically, if you look at the scenario, it's nearly 100 and something thousand jobs we don't have because there's no value addition in this sector.
And not only that, Ava, all of what you put here is great, but all of that on those two charts, right? One for the agriculture sector, the other one for the extractive mineral sector. Those numbers of jobs, okay, I agree 100% as an industrialist. Sam himself he's a chemical engineer, but he works for a major manufacturing company here in Texas. Industrialization is the key, because when you industrialize and you do value addition, every level of value addition, you create more jobs. Every level of value addition, you create more jobs. You don't only create more jobs, but you create higher paying wages. That's it. So, and with higher paying wages, with better paying jobs, guess what? Those better paying jobs require people to be better trained, because now what you're doing is you're industrializing. That means the equipment you got coming in, you can't use the same guys you use in the manual process no more. You get my point. You see, you can't use those guys who didn't know how to work the machines. Now you got to get Liberians who are trained, and you can't get them until we invest in them. So that's where we are. So it's good, but again, you cannot achieve those numbers, the value chain, to create more jobs, better paying jobs, better high trained jobs, unless you solve the energy sector, until you solve the energy investment. You've got to invest in energy. If you don't invest in energy, you cannot industrialize. And if you cannot industrialize, you cannot create the jobs. Because
and just to be clear, when you say invest in energy, you're talking about both renewable energy and regular hydro, right?
That's exactly right. And the thing again, we're going to run until we will close at 11:30, right? Rufus, in what is that? 12 minutes. We'll close. We'll do closing. Renewable energy is what? Renewable energy is not just solar. It's also hydro. Hydro energy is renewable. Energy.
Yes.
And Liberia has abundant rivers that we could build multiple hydros that will feed the energy infrastructure of this country.
And yeah, there's a group interested in putting 350 megawatt total at different portions of the St. John River. So
but
hopefully,
again, because again, the St. Paul, the St. John River has what we have. I mean, there's a map. I know we did it in school on RICS. We did it in school. We have Liberia, most of the rivers in Liberia, we are blessed with what they call cataracts. I wish, what's the young man? There's a hydrology, a hydro engineer that we had on the program some time ago. Liberia is blessed with rivers that have cataracts, which are natural falls. And those natural falls are unique. They're very uniquely positioned to build hydro, because in order for hydro's power plants to be effective, you need the fall, because the energy is in the water. It's called kinetic energy, and that water needs to fall down an incline to increase in acceleration and velocity to then hit the turbine and generate the power. And that's where Liberia is blessed. But again, there's got to be a plan. Then the good thing we have the Transco CLSG that cuts through the country. So we already have a transmission infrastructure where that power can be put onto that grid. And then with solar technology, why can't we invest in every county so that the map that you just put up can now be decentralized, so that every county, like we talked about on the show some time ago, Rufus, you remember, why can't there be, if we know that Maryland can produce cassava, why can't Maryland be the breadbasket for cassava? If we know that Grand Cru is strategic for fishing, why can't we invest in the marine infrastructure for Grand Cru, and so forth and so on? So again, without a strategic plan, and without a strategic plan that invests in our energy infrastructure for both renewable, hydro, and solar, to tie it into Transco CLSG, and then to also provide from La Côte d'Ivoire, then we will not be able to industrialize this country to create the jobs to meet the growing demand, right, from the youth population of this country. And that youth population is not going to stop. This is not something you're going to stop people from having kids. Young people will always be produced in this country. So that's where we are today. I mean, without a plan, without a strategy to drive the plan, we will not be able to produce the results and bring about meaningful transformational change and industrialization in this country. And that means we're going to be on this path and in this place and in this position for a very long time. So let's go around.
Let's give everybody a couple of minutes to close. So
to close, yes.
Rufus, you can go first, then Sam, then Lawrence, and I can go there. Keno can take us home.
Yeah.
It's always good to be here, and always a pleasure having great minds tapping or building up our intellect when it comes to things that we need as young people. I always appreciate the both of you for the knowledge you continue to give us, and we encourage young people to engage with this program because it is very important that we put aside this too much politics and go for the things that are going to better our lives. Because at the end of the day, when you are in that room, it is you versus you. The politicians will not be there with you. It is you versus you. When you are faced with that difficult situation, it is you versus you. Thank you so kindly.
Okay, so
go ahead, Lawrence.
Okay, so first I'd like to say thank God and thank you all, and thank the team for having me. Because today is my first day, and well, it's a great thing to be among great people of like minds, people who are actually wanting and hoping for the betterment of Liberia, because this is where it's good to be with people who wanting the betterment of the country and for the young people. So I'd like to say thank you all so much. And those of you who are listening, please take heed to everything that we have said and let us all work on ourselves, change our minds, and change our attitudes. Thank you all for listening.
Sam, you go.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you all once more for having me. This is my first time as well. It was really good being here, discussing on things, identifying things that is going on in our country, and trying to put in some ideas, resolution on how to go about the change back home. So thank you all so much for having me. And to our listeners, thank you so much too for engaging in this conversation. It has been a great one, and I will continue watching online, and also if I'm invited, I will be a part as well. So I just want to thank you all once again for having me.
Wonderful. Thank you for coming, Sam. We really appreciate your presence, and I think we need to do more of this in terms of showcasing some of the young people both in Liberia and here who are doing positive things and making that jump and willing to look back and bring some other young people along with them as well. So we really appreciate that. Lawrence, thank you for coming to joining us. Folks, just so you know, this stuff is all volunteer. Lawrence is willing to give his time. Rufus has been giving his time. We just hope that we can continue with this level of commitment and be able to provide, substantive content that, people can follow, people can understand, that is practical and can really help our development. Rufus, again, thank you for holding down the studio. It's been wonderful working with you, your humility, your willingness to give other people their flowers, to incorporate other people, to welcome your friend Lawrence into the program, and speaking contrary to the perception that some people try to limit the space so other people don't get involved. You embrace Lawrence to come on the show. We really appreciate that. You can hold it down. The man already gave you flowers today, so I ain't adding more to it. But yes, folks. Yeah, before your Wednesday, we give you a whole flower bouquet. You go. You're going home with too much. So yeah, folks, these topics
no matter how many I get, I'll put it in the viz. I will present it to all.
You know. Yeah, our youths are critical. They look when we try to compare ourselves with other countries, we see how their youths are progressing, and we see how backwards most of the times our youths in Liberia are compared with many of the youths here in the diaspora. We got some highly professional youth and who are advancing in their career and making moves. And I think us trying to get them connected and linked in with some of the young people in Liberia, not necessarily in a mentoring relationship, but just in a peer relationship where they can go back and forth, they can share something, they can just sit down and chop it up. Sometimes, yeah, it will be social stuff. Sometimes it will be music. We got young Liberians here getting into the music scene, older Liberians who have made their bones in it. So there's just so many areas, the arts, the sciences, everything that we can really collaborate on and integrate, and we need to do that. And our government needs to be receptive of some of these things. We have a lot of stuff. That's why just the other day in the value chain chat room, and I think the cassava sector chat room, I told the people, I said, we don't need any more studies or papers. All the different things we got, all the recommendations we got, we need to do a compilation and prioritize them and do a strategic implementation plan of all these wonderful things we have on paper. And then we can move these different sectors forward, because everything we want to do in Liberia has been done somewhere before, as my friend George Family always say. So it's just a matter of us picking what we want to do, customizing it to our own location, and be able to make it happen. So thank you for the show. Our listeners out there, you guys have been very engaging in this show, and we really appreciate it. We just need to continue to expand the circle of people who can, be able to participate or just watch the show and keep moving this process along. And as we move along, I'm sure we'll be able to bring more people on. Maybe we can get the head of LEC to come talk about the connection between business and electricity and some of the wonderful things I hear he's trying to do and that's coming down the pipe. We can get some other business people, especially people in the fintech sector, to see how things are working, how we need to change payment system, because even in the agriculture sector, we need more technology in our sector. So to the extent that people who understand these things can come and break it down for our audience, so they can be hearing it just from one person, and yet that real professionals in an arena, in a particular space, can contribute to us, would be wonderful. So you got your last 2 minutes, Mr. Phillips. Go ahead.
Well, again, to all the listeners and to all the panelists, Ava, thank you so much for participating today. As always, you've done an outstanding job. Great topic, very, very engaging from all of the chats we saw there, all the interactions. Rufus, Devon Connie, as always, thank you so much for helping us to broadcast these ideas by way of the radio transmitter there at Love FM. And Lawrence, welcome to you. Thank you for joining the team. We expect great things from you. We'll hold you at a high level. There will be a lot, that will be demanding and requesting of you to bring in, videos from the field of the different topics we'll be bringing up on this show, so that we want to bridge, use you as a bridge. You would be the bridge between the show and the population, the society, and the community. So we look forward to a lot of success from you adding on. Sam, thank you so much for participating in the show today as a young Liberian here in the U.S. and just trying to bridge the gap. I think that's a great endeavor on your part. And to all the young Liberians out there, hope is on the way. Help is on the way. Let us keep hoping, believing, and trusting. But again, like Sam said, what change do you want for your Liberia? What do you want your Liberia to look like? That's where the challenge is for you, the young people who are listening today. The future of this country is in your hands. If you don't make a decision as to what it is you want for your future, then that decision will be made by others, and that decision for you will not necessarily be what is important for you. Don't just be an instrument or a tool in the hand of somebody else. What you want to do is you need to understand that the future is a bank. The future is a bank, and you are walking towards your future. And when you get to your future, and if you didn't make a deposit in your past into that bank that you're going to for your future, when you get there, don't try to fill in a withdrawal slip, because there's nothing in there for you, because you never put anything in there for you. Don't burn your time. Don't think that money is wealth. Your real wealth is your time. And if you spend your time, you will never get it back. Just how this day today, April 19th, 2025, we're never going to see this day again in our lives. So our young people, we need to truly do whatever we can to support our young people, to elevate them and to promote them. I urge all the Liberians who are traveling back to Liberia, reconnect to your old school. Go there, be a mentor, speak to the young people. Let them know I used to sit in that seat before. I went through these halls. Now I've become this. Be an inspiration to the young people. Let them believe that they too can become somebody. Okay, because I mean, if I go back to Liberia, I went to Rakes when I was there. I went on the Rakes campus, but unfortunately, when I got there, school was closed. I drove on the campus, walked around the campus, went to the old dining hall. I met some young kids on the basketball court. I talked to them, introduced myself to them. I said, man, I used to play senior varsity basketball for Rakes. And I mean, because we have to be the transformative figure for our future. So thanks to everyone who watched and listened to the show today, all of those who participated through Facebook. Thank you so much. Next week, we're going to have another edition, same time, same place, same station, Business Talk, Liberia's Future. Thank you. Have a great weekend. Be safe. And we'll talk again next week. Goodbye, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you, everybody.